It has been a long time since I have had this much fun at a Broadway show. And I went in to Stranger Things, The First Shadow, with the lowest of low expectations because I was terrified that it was just going to be another Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. My issue with that show is that the whole entire thing just felt like a major cash grab. I mean, let's face it, Stranger Things on Broadway is also a cash grab, but at Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, it was like everywhere I turned, someone was like, do you want to buy a chocolate frog? And I was like, no, I do not. And I also thought that Harry Potter and the Cursed Child had a convoluted script that bled into like fan fiction territory. And I didn't want that when it came to a show based off of something that I loved. Stranger Things, The First Shadow is the perfect companion piece for the Netflix series. It has a similar vibe to it. It has everything that Stranger Things fans have come to expect from the show. A group of students with distinct personalities, one with unique powers, a setting that oozes with time period specific charm, and horror. This show is terrifying, and it has all of the elements of a great horror piece. Loud noises. There are a lot of Demogorgon screeches that you were going to hear throughout the show, a lot of white noise from radios and things like that, and gunshots. And the show is dark. You never know what is happening in the darkness until they want you to see it. You can't see them setting things up, and that was really cool. The illusions were brilliantly disguised. So that made it all the more enjoyable, especially for someone who has seen a lot of theater like myself, who has come to learn a lot of the theater tricks that go into making this sort of magic. It was very cool. I found that I was able to enjoy it without trying to pick apart how things worked. And it is gory. There are a lot of disturbing moments with blood effects and body horror that you are going to see in this show. If you were planning on bringing children to see Stranger Things on Broadway, I just wanted to make you aware of all of this scary stuff. I will say, if you are okay with the TV show, it's nothing you haven't seen before. It's just that seeing these effects live in front of you has a very different feeling than if you were at home. You could pause it or turn on the lights or whatever you need to do to feel better. Now, the script is not perfect. It's not going to be winning any sort of Pulitzer Prize or anything like that, but it is a lot of fun. And I think Kate Trefry and the Duffer brothers did a fantastic job, in my opinion, of bringing the story of Henry Creel from season 4 of the TV series and making it into something that audiences, even if they haven't seen Stranger Things, will be able to understand as a standalone piece. It serves as a really great elongated prequel for how this villain came to be in the Stranger Things universe. Lewis McCartney, who plays Henry Creel, it's been a long time since I have seen an actor go this hard on a role. I mean, he was crying, screaming, drooling all over the place. It was incredible, a little concerning, but very cool to experience. I am a little bit confused about the character, though. Henry Creel is an evil person. As much as they try to get me to sympathize with him, I just can't get my head around it. I don't see this character try hard enough to be good or to not let the dark forces in. If anything, this character very much welcomes all of the darkness into his life. For example, the character carries around a radio with him, and the static from it seems to trigger his powers. So I imagine that if this character really wanted to, he could just get rid of the radio and avoid the problems as much as he can. But here, he keeps it around with him and sort of welcomes it into his life. That gives me the impression that he has made the decision to not try to get better. Plus, on top of that, he flat out tortures his family, and it is really brutal to watch. His mother, Virginia, played by Rosie Benton, gets the absolute worst of the torture. I felt so bad for her character. Rosie Benton did a phenomenal job. She's one of the standouts to me of this production. She brings so many layers to Virginia Creel, which I feel like if you were to give this character to another actor, they may try to portray her as being more cruel towards Henry. But here, Rosie Benton's Virginia Creel shows a lot of genuine concern for her son and for the danger he is putting others in and the danger he is putting himself into. So I didn't like seeing this character being punished for that. A new character that they introduced into the Stranger Things universe is Patty Newby, played by Gabrielle Nevaeh. Get Gabrielle Nevaeh into a horror movie ASAP. I think she will make a phenomenal scream queen if she wants to. Fantastic performance. I really liked what she was able to do with this character, and I like that she just went for it. I will say that the character does receive some assistance from the script. All of a sudden, she just has specific knowledge that we as an audience don't really get to see her figure out. So if you can look past that, it was fine. They give Patty the story about her trying to find her birth mother, which is all great and fine. The more you think about it, though, as it unfolds, it kind of starts to unravel a little bit. I couldn't tell if the character knew where her mother was, or if by telling Henry Creel what she thinks of her mother, that he was able to somehow make it happen in the universe. It was a little odd. Just try not to think too much about it. When it came to the storyline between Henry Creel and Patty Newby, I was getting very much Nightmare on Elm Street 2 Freddy's Revenge vibes, which makes sense because the character Vecna in Stranger Things shares a lot of similarities to Freddy Krueger. So having that similarity in the storyline, I thought was actually pretty cool. Now, since the play does take place in Hawkins, I did really enjoy seeing some familiar faces from the TV series, although of course the younger versions, like Patty's brother Bob Newby, who unlike Patty did appear in the TV series at one point. On Broadway, Bob is played by Juan Carlos, who does a fantastic job and very much holds his own on stage. We kind of see a love triangle bubbling up between himself, Joyce, and Hopper. Those two characters are here as well. Joyce, played by Alison Jaye, who is an absolute standout in this role. Not only does she sort of bring in some of that Winona Ryder quirkiness, but she had the best wig in this entire show. That was hilarious. She's Will's mom, and she had the same haircut as him and everything. I loved it. Burke Swanson plays James Hopper Jr. It seems like it would be very difficult to play a younger version of a character made famous by David Harbour, but Burke does a really nice job here. I got worried that they were going to rewrite history a little bit with these characters. After all, at the start of Stranger Things, the series, none of these characters know anything about the Upside Down or the events of Henry Creel. So I didn't want them to find out too much, but I will say, to the credit of the script writers, they do a nice job at keeping them as involved in the action as possible without giving them all of the knowledge that they wouldn't have in the series. Some of the continuity is a little bit up in the air, but I thought that they came up with clever ways to kind of get around those things. Here is a view from my seat. It was an amazing view. I really liked this seat. I was also on the aisle, which I enjoyed. It had great legroom as well. I bought my ticket from the box office about 30 minutes before the show started, which actually ended up being a really good idea because I went back after the show to see how much it would have cost me if I were to buy my ticket online. I saved about 67% on a premium ticket, so I was feeling pretty good about that. So should you see Stranger Things: The First Shadow before it closes? Well, if you're a fan of Stranger Things on Netflix, I think you're going to have a really fun time. It's very cool to see the practical effects that we've seen on the show live on stage. Also, if you just enjoy being scared, like if you love horror movies, if you love going to haunted houses, I think the show would be right up your alley. But let's say you're not a fan of the Netflix series or you've never seen it. Will you still understand the show? Yeah, you'll definitely get it. The story is simple enough to stand alone, but you may miss out on specific references from the TV show that other members of the audience may applaud or laugh at or whatever. I did have a quick content warning that I just wanted to share. Light spoiler warning, but if you are familiar with the TV show and the character of Henry Creel, you definitely see him partake in some of this behavior in the series as well, but I just wanted to make it very clear. Click away now if you don't want any spoilers. The Broadway production does feature, in my opinion, a very graphic animal torture and death scene. In the TV show, it was a rabbit that the camera cuts away from before you see it actually being tortured. But here you do see someone's pet cat get tortured and killed. The lights black out pretty quickly after the start of the sequence, but I think they still show enough that it can be upsetting to some viewers. I am including a picture of what the start of the scene looks like so that if you are particularly sensitive to something like this, you can best prepare for it to happen. And if that's not disturbing enough, a couple of characters come across the remains of the kitten a little bit later in the show, and that was a lot for me. I think they may have crossed a line. If you are particularly sensitive to animal deaths in movies, TV, and now play, or if you are bringing a child that may find this upsetting, I just wanted to leave this here so that you can best prepare for that scene. Those are my thoughts on Stranger Things: The First Shadow, now playing at the Marquis Theater. I would love to read your thoughts in the comment section below. I would also really appreciate it if you gave this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to check out some of my other reviews and theater-related content on my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and remember to stay off your phone while at the theater.